And I said, I want all non-African Americans to come. I walked into a room to 400 people who looked like me. Um, and what happened was my own learning, because one brother said, Pastor, we know what you meant, but you said all non-African Americans. This brother said, I'm Haitian. I'm not African American. And then it just started happening around the room. All of my brothers and sisters began to define themselves and their blackness, not using the term African American. And they took me to school on that day in terms of language. And I was so grateful, because it helped me crystallize my thinking and my language around even the language of diversity. Europeans don't have a monopoly on the diversity conversation. In fact, the Black church is diverse if there ain't a white folk, ain't a white person in there. And we as a people are diverse, even before we get into the European conversation. I say that to say FunTimes is such an important part of that, that helps us all appreciate that. So thank you. I think I'm here because I tested positive, and I wanted to speak to the real issue. I tested not because I had been exposed and not because I was feeling bad. I tested because there were people there, and there were some that were concerned about, the thing being stuck up your nose. And um, it's been consistent for me to model behavior that I'd like to see people do. I'll take you back to 2008 when we were doing a lot of AIDS testing. When the rapid AIDS test came out, I took a Sunday morning and took the test in the pulpit. And after I did the swab, we sat and we waited 20 minutes for my test to come out while we sang hymns. I say that to say that it's just sort of consistent. We like to model that behavior. That's all I was doing on that Monday. Said, let me just take it, show you all what it looks like, and then let's get people tested. The last thing I ever thought was going to happen was that I would test it positive. I'd been practicing social distancing. I think I'd been being responsible with the church. We shut down in terms of worship on that Sunday before all of this happened. And so when I tested positive, it raised my level of concern about what we've come to find out is 25 to 28% of the persons who are infected are asymptomatic. So it's not just what you see, it's what you don't see. Had I not taken that test, I would have been walking around able to shed and infect people. The problem that we're facing, I found two problems. After that, I was told four different things by four different professionals. And all of the response from the medical community is a response out of scarcity. There are not enough tests. So policy that is being put out is based on not enough tests, not ready for this pandemic. I was not able to get retested until last week. I mean, there were some people said you don't need to be retested. And then 3 days without a fever, you'll be fine. Well, I never had a fever. Then I was told 10 days, you'll be fine because you were asymptomatic. Then I was told 14 days and you can just come back out. As a pastor with a church, I'm thinking, and as an employer, I'm thinking, I've got to develop policy for my staff. And I think that policy needs to be test out. You got to test back in. Therefore, I had to press to get my second test. It finally did come back negative last week, but four different people gave me four different things to do because there's still not enough tests for everybody to get one. Until we are at the place where you can go get a test for COVID-19,